Now this is a 2020 Kia Forte 5. Yes, that's right, the hatchback version of the sedan. But it's not just any version of the Forte 5. If you're familiar with the product, you'll have noticed, well, a little bit more aero, the wheels, and quite possibly the badge on the grille. That's right, this is a Kia Forte5 GT, but not just any regular GT, it's the top line GT Limited. Now let's get the base Forte out of the way right now. It's a 2-liter with the CVT. It's $22,545. Interesting, but not. Okay, so the GT. Now, I'm going to try and keep this as interesting and logical as possible, okay? It starts at $27,395. Obviously, you get the 1.6-liter turbocharged engine, the 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, along with all the visual upgrades that you see, all that gloss black, the twin tailpipes, the 18-inch wheels, sunroof, LED headlights, cool seats on the inside. I'll show them to you in a few moments. Yuvo connected car services, $27,395. Now, we would all be very tempted to compare this directly to the Golf GTI and the Civic Si. You can, but you shouldn't. There's one very specific reason. This is supposed to be a hot hatch. It is, but it isn't. Because a hot hatch, in my mind, must be available, at least for the time being, with a manual gearbox, which is the case for the GTI and the Si. But the GTI starts at $30,845, and I'm not even sure it has doors on it. Okay, I kid, but it doesn't have anywhere near as much equipment as the GT. Same for the Civic Si. It starts at $30,290, and, well, same scenario. Now, the GT Limited, this is the car that I have right here, is $29,995 and includes, as far as I'm concerned, for a car like this, useless elements like navigation, smart cruise control, heated rear seats, synthetic leather, power driver seats. In fact, the only thing that's useful right now are the cooled seats, because it is about 93 degrees Fahrenheit or like 35 degrees Celsius right now in the sun, and I am dying. So the car to get is the regular GT. Again, $27,395. Look, I've done the walk around a couple times now. Physically, this car is extremely attractive. And there's one thing too. Look, soak in the wheelbase. That's 2,700 millimeters or 106.3 inches of wheelbase. Overall, the car is 4.5 meters long or 177.5 inches long. It's huge for a compact car. But that translates into something that becomes very, very useful on the inside. So let's do, hopefully this time it'll work for me, because last time it didn't. Oh, come on. I don't know what's wrong with the switch. There we go, yes. 741 liters of trunk space. That's actually, for this car, really, really, really good. It's plenty wide, it's deep. This is fantastic. Storage under the floor. That is amazing. I'm also driving this week a Mazda 3 Sport GT all-wheel drive, and you may notice that's passé, by the way. That's got to go. It needs to be a real intelligent keyless access. All right, here we go. I can do this. I've got a diploma. What is going on? I'm gonna feel like an idiot. Okay, there we go. Okay, there is tons of room back here. It's enormous. Compared to the Mazda 3, by comparison, is smaller than a P50, okay? There's room in here. Well, there's one of the features that you get in the GT Limited, but look at the amount of legroom. That's my driving position. There's so much room. You can't squeeze anybody in between, but this is, again, a compact car, even though it is huge. Plenty of room, plenty of room. Now here are the seats. They look fantastic, and they're quite comfortable and very supportive. Like the Sportage fit and finish, I gotta start her up because my butt is cooking. Cooled seats. See, that's winning today, because it is, like I said, 35 degrees Celsius. Holy crap. Lovely combination. Again, digital and analog gauges. Works wonderfully well. Steering wheel is a lovely piece. With the controls are not too invasive when you're driving. It's a good grip on the steering wheel. That's your standard 8-inch screen with navigation. I do enjoy the fact that you still get these hard buttons, which are very accessible. They're not hidden down here somewhere. They're right up there, just below the screen. So ergonomics are top notch in this thing, much like the Sportage. Simple HVAC. This right here, I think you can see it as your wireless charger, which is brilliant. Good storage, decent storage for the cup holders, storage, door bins. Again, the seats, very supportive, very comfortable, power operated on my side. Again, the fit and finish is quite nice. Visibility, and I'm sitting in the lowest position, is actually not that bad. You can kind of scooch there between the pillar and the mirror. Otherwise, it's pretty good. Like the Sportage, it's kind of weird. It doesn't rattle as much as the Sportage, but then again, this has a lot less mileage. What else can I tell you? Right, your drive modes right here. I'll tell you a bit more about that shortly. There's your shifter for the 7-speed DCT. And well, that's about it. The tour on the inside. I don't know if you can hear it. I'll walk in the back. It's a GT, so it does a little bit of that. I can't get the mic close enough. Anyhow, it's an attractive car. If you think it's not a GTI or SI fighter, you're in for a hoot. So let's go for a spin. Don't take the t-shirt as a sign that I'm biased. Yes, that is the biggest load of bull ever. But the fact is, I am a fan of the Volkswagen GTI. And it is, in my opinion, the one by which all other hot hatches are to be measured and compared. I said you can't compare Forte5 GT to the GTI, but obviously it has to be done. The first thing about the car, the things that are slightly disappointing, is that contrary to the SI and the GTI, it feels as though engineers at Kia took a structure, a platform, and a chassis, and then dialed in what people, or what they think people want out of a hot hatch. It's very strange. The ride quality, the handling is quite impressive. The car is unbelievably flat no matter what, and it feels very tight, but the ride quality is grainy. It's not that I'm feeling everything that's out there. It's like it's being thrown in to the cab and up the steering column. I know that sounds weird, but it doesn't feel like, one of my favorite words, organic. It doesn't feel real. That may have something to do with the fact that, and I've complained about this with the GTI in the past too, just stop synthesizing exhaust notes into the cabin. I hate it. This thing does it in sport mode, and sometimes it sounds like even in normal, when you put the hammer down, it does it. Just unbelievably annoying. So yeah, the handling is amazing, but it's grainy. It should be far more refined than it is. And this is when comparing to a Civic Si and a GTI. See, what happens with the GTI and the SI is they have a fantastic structure or a platform, a perfectly tuned chassis, and on top of that, they build the rest of the car, the powertrain, the dynamics of the car, if you will. This, it's kind of they put it all together and then they dialed it back or messed with it unnecessarily. And what also kind of plays into that is the fact that brake pedal travel is really long, brake pedal response is delayed, and it just doesn't feel as solid as it should. I don't like that. Furthermore, electric steering, an enormous amount of on-sensor play. It does get a little better from smart into normal into sport. Like smart is just bad, and then in normal it's a little bit better, and then in sport what happens is that you go through the hole in the middle, and then suddenly it loads up really, really fast. Now, speaking about loading up really, really fast, 1.6 turbo. It only has 201 horsepower as of 6,000 RPM, but it also has all of 195 pound-feet of torque from 1,500 to 4,500 RPM, which means that it is always on. Essentially, even in reverse, you can feel the torque. It's funny. Back to the drive modes. I found that normal is the best, least annoying drive mode of the three. Smart is as close as you'll get to an eco mode. So from a dead stop, if you just want to take off from a light or a stop sign, it's dead, and then it kicks in. Oh, it's terrible. Normal mode kind of takes a little bit of that away. Sport mode takes most of it away. There's always some of that digital or electronic throttle delay dialed in, but normal works the best for most applications, unless you're taking this thing through the track, which you definitely can and probably should. Now, the 7-speed dual clutch transmission, it's a good unit, absolutely good. If you want to put it in manual mode, you can. The paddle shifters are responsive for the upshift. The downshift, occasionally, the rev matching function is a little bit delayed and a little bit, not slow, but lazy, like, hey. You know, it's not as bad with the DSG and Volkswagen, but I think the DSG is a little bit sharper overall in its operation. And so, Kia Forte5 GT. The highlights are definitely the little engine. The little engine that could on sport mode, because I'm in manual. Oh, so annoying. The highlights are the engine. The 1.6 liter turbo is surprising. You can't compare it to the GTI's 258 pound-feet of torque, but when you do, you realize that this car is actually a lot quicker than you actually think it is. Here's a little example of how well it handles. See, it stays really, really flat and it pulls nice. Look at that, no understeer. Obviously, I'm dialing in the throttle intelligently. Feels nice, feels great, but it's not a GTI, it's not an SI. So obviously, I guess, I would pick the GTI over this thing any day of the week. Over the SI, the only reason why I would consider the SI is for the manual transmission, which is the only one available in the SI. But if I had to really sit down and make a choice, I'm not even sure which one I would take. It's been a long time since I drove the SI. I should be driving it again shortly. I'll be in a better position at that time to summarize that idea. Good car, not a hot hatch. Let's consider it a lukewarm hatch.